Well, Dusty, there are times that people go through situations where they feel like, God, why? God, why? Why are you letting me go through this? Where are you at? I feel so totally forsaken right now, so totally rejected, and I can't see you. Where are you at, and why are you letting me go through this? Let's kind of go back to some of those things you went through where you felt like, or maybe at least others could have felt like, God, why?
The first thing that jumps out at me is my childhood. Without, at the risk of sounding, I don't want to get graphic, okay, we don't need details, but there was a lot of physical and sexual abuse when I was a child, okay, growing up. I'm talking like age 2 and 3 up to maybe 12 to 18, you know. And I can remember, I mean, looking back, I can't ever remember a day that I didn't pray, ever. But I can remember crying myself to sleep at night saying, God, if you're everywhere like my grandma says you are, why are you letting me do this? Why is this happening? Why don't you make him stop? You know? And I didn't understand it then. I didn't. I really didn't. God, to me, those were dark years. They were totally, I felt him there, but I felt like he was allowing it. And I didn't know why. I totally didn't understand why. And I never did get an answer to that question. Why? Until about, I want to say 6 years ago, when I started working with the prison ministry. Okay? We used to go into the city jails down here every Saturday, and we would talk with women, bring them the gospel. I would tell my stories, and I would tell them what I went through as a child. They could say, this woman has been where I was. If God can heal her, he can heal me. And it wasn't until that started to happen that I realized, and I actually sat on my patio one night, and I cried. And I realized, I said, now I understand. Now I understand. Even back then, when I was 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 years old, you knew that at some point in my life you were going to use me to touch other women. You know, to be a testimony to them that if it happened to me and I recovered, if I survived, so can you. He helped me, he'll help you. But none of that would have happened if the testimony wasn't real. I had to go through it. It had to be real for me before it could be real for them. You know, and it just, when I think of all those nights as a little kid, I laid there and I cried and I said, why don't you make it stop? Now I understand. It was something I had to go through. It was something I had to go through. It was building the tools and the grace and the strength and the faith in me that I would need down the road for what he was going to have me do. Did I have any idea when I was 8 years old that I was going to end up ministering to women in prison? Shoot, no. I had no clue, but he did. He did. That's happened over and over and over again throughout my life, you know. It's when you feel the darkest, when things look the darkest, that's when he's closest, even though you can't feel it, you know. And I think God, I've told a lot of women that. They say, well, I'm not a very good child of God because I get angry and I get frustrated and I don't understand. God expects all that. He wired us the way we are. He knows we're going to react with pain and frustration and anger, and especially when we don't understand because we can't see the whole picture. He expects those reactions. But he also expects you to trust him anyway. We go through all kinds of pain in our life, but I just tell people, take a good look at the cross. Take a good look at it, okay? If he went through that, we can go through anything else. Because nothing this world dumps on us is going to be worse than that. It's hard to imagine anything hurting worse than that, okay? If he did that, people, we can do this.